Hello and welcome to Undead Gaming News, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host Zombie, and first up this week, GTA Plus is expanding to include games. GTA Plus now includes a rotating assortment of classic Rockstar Games titles, starting with the Definitive Edition remasters of the classic Grand Theft Auto trilogy. GTA Plus launched in 2022 as a $6 monthly subscription service available in the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S versions of GTA 5. It offers an array of benefits aimed at GTA Online players, including a monthly deposit of $500,000 into your in-game bank account, a selection of cars, bonus items and regular boosts to cash and RP for various activities. But Rockstar says other classics from its catalogue will also rotate into its new classic games section. Beyond the definitive editions of GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas, that catalogue of course includes everything from Max Payne, Red Dead Redemption, Bully and Manhunt, so there's certainly a variety of potential inclusions to be made. However, in other news, the PlayStation Network recently experienced a major outage, preventing access to single-player games for thousands of players. The outage prevented them from playing certain games that they owned digitally or had downloaded through PlayStation Plus. An update for the error was promptly posted to the PlayStation website saying, PlayStation Network services are up and running, but there are external internet-wide issues that might affect your experience. The issue and whatever's causing it has since been fixed, with the PlayStation Network status now reading green across the board, though it did cause chaos with fans. In a Reddit post announcing the problem, fans shared their frustration, with many saying that they'd attempted to play one of their many single-player titles to unwind for the evening, only to be blocked for seemingly no good reason. For the time being though, the PlayStation Network is running as normal, so you shouldn't have any issues accessing your games. But in other PlayStation-related news, it has been confirmed that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will have fall damage. But you don't have to worry about this all the time, as you can turn the feature on and off at any time in the game's menu. This is of course a new feature for Insomniac's Spider-Man games, as the previous two titles didn't have fall damage, as both Peter and Miles could jump off a skyscraper and just walk away after hitting the ground. So this time around it's worth keeping in mind that fall damage is now there, unless you choose to turn it off. It's also been confirmed that Marvel Spider-Man 2 features Tobey Maguire's Venom suit as one of the many available suits to choose from. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is of course set for release exclusively on PS5 on October the 20th. Also in the news, a new Ubisoft press release has revealed that Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Geraghty will take a new role at Ubisoft once that game is done, as executive producer of everything Tom Clancy's The Division. That includes oversight of all Division-branded games, The Division 2, The Division Heartland, The Division Resurgence, and The Division 3, which Ubisoft casually announced in that press release about Julian's new job. The press release says that Star Wars Outlaws and The Division 2's studio Massive Entertainment is actively building a team for The Division 3 right now. As for Julian's current project, the open-world Star Wars game Outlaws, Ubisoft says he remains fully committed to it, and that he'll remain on the project through launch, before starting his new role. The Division 3 is very early in development, which helps explain the low-key announcement. There's no trailer or even any artwork to share, but we've seen similar concise early game announcements from other big developers in recent years. Blizzard, for instance, announced last year that it's working on a survival game without giving it a name, a move that has been interpreted as an effort to recruit talent. Julian's previous credits at Ubisoft include the other main Division games, as well as games from the Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon series of Tom Clancy branded games, as well as The Crew and Watch Dogs. He's been with the company for 25 years, spending the past 10 at Massive Entertainment. It'll probably be a while before we hear anything significant about The Division 3, since Massive is only now recruiting the team for it, and Julian won't change his focus until after Star Wars Outlaws releases, and that's supposed to happen next year. But another game that's on the way is coming from Battle Brew Productions, as their upcoming game tasks players with battling monsters while running a restaurant, and it's set for release on PC on November the 9th. Cuisineer is an action game that follows Pom, an adventurer who returns home to manage her parents' failing restaurant. The game is split into two halves. One is an isometric dungeon crawler, where players will explore and defeat monsters to gather ingredients, and the other is a restaurant manager, where players will use those ingredients to cook meals for the town. Cuisineer is also a success story born from the studio while it was in dire straits, as Battle Brew Production CEO Sean Toe said, "We had a cancelled cooking game right before Cuisineer called Noodle Superstar. We dropped it for various reasons, and we were running low on cash. The crew and I sat down together and said, okay, we can make one last game together, what do you want to make?" The answer lay in two things: Battle Brew's love of food and their eclectic gaming tastes. The team boasts a 100% completion run of farming simulator Stardew Valley, and they're also fans of the Diablo series and Elden Ring. Yet by the time Battle Brew came to brainstorming Cuisineer, The Singapore studio had moved to working remotely due to COVID. Going from cooking and eating together to feeling kind of lonely as a result, much of Cuisineer revolves around the unifying power of food. It's something that helped the game find success during Steam Next Fest this year, when Battle Brew revealed a demo that proved very popular with players and streamers alike. Sean credits Cuisineer's early success to it speaking a language that everyone understands, food, stating, "We saw a lot of streamers playing Cuisineer and go, oh my god, why am I playing this at night? I'm really hungry." In the streams, beyond people having a good time, we saw people learning about different cultures. That's something I'm proud of. Due to the overwhelmingly positive response to Cuisineer, Sean is much more optimistic about Battle Brew's future. The studio even has ideas for its next game it would like to work on, but for now Cuisineer's imminent launch is the priority. Another game in the pipeline is coming from Private Division and Weta Workshop, which has been revealed as Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game. Very little is known about the game in spite of the announcement and the teaser trailer. Private Division, which has previously published Hades, Ollie Ollie World and Rollerdrome, is working with Weta Workshop to deliver the game for PC and consoles in 2024. However, the two originally shared their collaboration in 2022, describing Tales of the Shire as a distinctive new Middle-earth gaming experience. From what was shown in the trailer, fans would assume that this game has farming elements, as well as foraging and potentially interior and exterior decorating. Weta Workshop's head of interactive, Amy Walken, last year said, "It's a privilege to create a new game set in Middle-earth, especially one that's so different from what fans have played previously. As fans ourselves, we are excited for gamers to explore Middle-earth in a way that they never have before, and introduce new fans to the magic of Lord of the Rings." Another game that's also on the way is coming from Outright Games, which has been announced to be Bluey, the video game, which is set to bring the award-winning TV series to the Nintendo Switch on the 17th of November. It was revealed as an interactive sandbox adventure. This one will see you playing as Bluey, Bingo, Chili and Bandit as you explore locations from the show, play minigames, and dive into a brand new 4-part storyline. There's also 4-person multiplayer. All of this is accompanied by voice acting from the show's English-speaking cast, and several tracks from Geoff Bush's original score will also be making an appearance. There are a good number of accessibility features included, such as an on-off toggle for the UI and simple on-screen instructions accompanying the voiceover. But also in the news, developer Creative Assembly has now announced that they're going to delay Total War Pharaoh into early 2024, but only on the Epic Games Store. It's a bit of an unusual one, but Creative Assembly says the situation has arisen because it was recently asked to help support the integration of social functions before they can actually launch on Epic Games Store, and they'll need additional time to make that happen. Importantly though, Total War Pharaoh's 11th of October release will remain unchanged on Steam, and all pre-orders that were made on Epic Games Store have automatically been cancelled, should you want to take your business elsewhere. Creative Assembly says that all affected customers should receive an email confirming this cancellation directly from the Epic Games Store support team. Total War Pharaoh is, of course, the latest in a long line of historical strategy games from Creative Assembly, this one taking the series back to the days of the Bronze Age. So to reiterate, Total War Pharaoh is coming to Steam on the 11th of October as originally planned, and all those that pre-ordered on Valve's platform can still participate in the game's early access weekend, running from the 29th of September to the 2nd of October. If you want it on Epic though, you'll have to wait until early 2024. However, in other news, a fresh round of leaks from non-redacted court documents about the US Federal Trade Commission's failed case against Microsoft over its deal to buy Activision Blizzard has revealed an email exchange between Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, Chief Marketing Officer Chris Caposola, and Commercial Chief Marketing Officer Takeshi Nomoto from 2020. The trio talked up the odds of pulling an acquisition of Nintendo off, which Phil Spencer says would be a career moment, if it came to pass. Less is said of Valve, although Phil Spencer does mention them alongside Nintendo, as at that point Microsoft had seen a full write-up on the pair and would fully support an acquisition if the chance arises. We also see talks of ZeniMax and Warner Bros. Interactive, which we've seen the former deal eventually go through. In the email, Phil Spencer says, "Takeshi, I totally agree that Nintendo is the prime asset for us in gaming, and today gaming is our most likely path to consumer relevance. I've had numerous conversations with the LT of Nintendo about tighter collaboration and feel like if any US company would have a chance with Nintendo, we are probably in the best position. The unfortunate or fortunate for Nintendo situation is that Nintendo is sitting on a big pile of cash. They have a BOD that, until recently, has not pushed for further increases in market growth or stock appreciation. I say until recently as our former MS-BOD member, Valvact, has been heavily acquiring shares of Nintendo, and I've kept in touch with Mason Morfitt as he's been acquiring. It's likely he will be pushing for more from Nintendo stock, which could create opportunities for us. Without that catalyst, I don't see an angle to a near-term mutually agreeable merger of Nintendo and Microsoft, and I don't think a hostile action would be a good move, so we are playing the long game. But our BOD has seen the full write-up on Nintendo and Valve, and they are fully supportive on either if opportunity arises, as am I. That's not all that came from the unredacted court documents either. A view of Bethesda's plans list Oblivion and Fallout 3 remasters as reportedly in development, though it's worth noting that timelines and plans may have shifted with time. Additionally, an Xbox Series X refresh, codenamed Brooklyn, has been revealed, slated for a 2024 launch. It boasts improved storage, no disk drive, and a new cylindrical design, as well as a new, more immersive controller. The storage will be doubled to 2TB, its wireless and Bluetooth capabilities will be upgraded, it will be more power efficient, and there will also be a new USB-C port on the front. It will have the same price as the current console at $499, and Microsoft is planning to release it in November 2024. The Brooklyn Series X will be preceded to market by Elwood, a new version of the Series S. Elwood is set to release in September of 2024, again at the existing price point of $299. Elwood looks much more like the current Series S, but crucially its storage will be upgraded to 1TB. There is currently a Black Series S available with 1TB of storage, but at the higher price of $350. It will also boast the same improved wireless chipsets and power efficiency as the Brooklyn Series X. Microsoft intends to clear stock of the current 512GB launch model of the Series S with a $199 offering during Black Friday 2024. Both new consoles with a new Xbox controller codenamed Sebel, shown in Microsoft's documents in a two-tone black and white finish. This controller will have new precision haptic feedback, with VCA haptics that double as speakers, according to Microsoft notes, along with more durable modular thumbsticks, quieter buttons and thumbsticks, and upgraded Bluetooth and wireless connectivity. Microsoft intends to launch the Sebel controller separately in June of 2024, alongside the planned announcement of the new consoles. It's billed as having direct-to-cloud capability, presumably meaning that it can communicate directly with the Xbox Cloud gaming servers over Wi-Fi, reducing input latency. The Sebel controller will also boast seamless pairing and switching between multiple devices assisted by a mobile app, which is probably the Xbox app. In other news, however, the CMA has identified limited residual concerns with the new deal proposed by Microsoft for its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has put forward remedies which the CMA has provisionally concluded should address these issues. The CMA is now consulting on the remedies before making a final decision. The CMA considers the restructured deal makes important changes that substantially address the concerns it set out in relation to the original transaction earlier this year. In particular, the sale of Activision's cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft will prevent this important content, including games such as Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft, from coming under control of Microsoft in relation to cloud gaming. The CMA originally found that Microsoft already has a strong position in cloud gaming services and could have used its control over Activision content to stifle competition and reinforce this position. The new deal instead results in the cloud streaming rights for Activision's games being transferred to an independent player, Ubisoft, maintaining open competition as the market for cloud gaming develops over the coming years. While the restructured deal is materially different to the previous transaction and substantially addresses most concerns, the CMA has limited residual concerns that certain provisions in the sale of Activision's cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft could be circumvented, terminated, or not enforced. To address these concerns, Microsoft has offered remedies to ensure that the terms of the sale of Activision's rights to Ubisoft are enforceable by the CMA themselves. The CMA has provisionally concluded that this additional protection should resolve those residual concerns. The CMA has now opened a consultation until the 6th of October on Microsoft's proposed remedies. As for our final story, Unity has apologised for the confusion and angst towards their runtime fee policy that it announced last week. They did reveal that they will be making changes to it, as Unity took to Twitter to share that news, saying that it's been talking to a number of people inside and outside the company and is planning on changing course to the controversial policy. In spite of this statement, over 500 developers are protesting against Unity's new pricing plan through the demonetization of their own games. In an open letter to Unity, which has currently been signed by at least 553 developers so far, it pledges to switch off all Iron Source and Unity ads monetization until new conditions are reviewed. As such, no revenue from their games will be received by Unity until it is switched back on. Following that, Terraria developer Relogic announced that they're going to be giving away $200,000 to open source game engines as a Unity counter-offensive, despite barely using Unity themselves. Relogic goes on to say that, beyond just expressing condemnation, it feels a responsibility to get behind some other up-and-coming open-source game engines. And to that end, it has promised to make $100,000 donations to Godot and FNA, two free publicly licensed engines, the former of which has particularly gained attention as a Unity alternative in the wake of these new terms. Relogic has also committed to donating $1,000 every month to each project, with the only stipulation being that they stay their developer-friendly course. A couple of days after Relogic made their announcement, Unity put out the changes that they plan to make, which are as follows. The new install fee, called a runtime fee, will not apply to games made with the Unity Personal or Plus plans, only the Pro and Enterprise plans. The free Unity Personal plan was previously restricted to studios that made less than $100,000 in the past 12 months. That threshold has been increased to $200,000. The runtime fee won't apply to games made on the current or older versions of Unity, unless the developer moves them onto the new version, releasing next year, or future versions. Games which are subject to the runtime fee, i.e. they've made $1 million in the past 12 months and have been installed more than 1 million times, can opt for a 2.5% revenue share instead, and will always be billed the lower amount. And finally, installs will be self-reported rather than determined by Unity's proprietary data model. These changes address the biggest complaints with the fees particulars. It's no longer retroactive, so long as developers don't move their existing Unity games onto a new version of the engine, although this could become an issue for games receiving long-term updates. And the revenue share option means that developers who produce free or cheap games can't wind up in a situation where Unity charges them more than they're actually earning. Unity's 2.5% royalty maximum is lower than Unreal Engine's 5%, which is applied to Unreal Engine games, which have earned over $1 million in lifetime revenue. Although it's important to note that Epic Games do not charge for the use of Unreal SDK, regardless of studio revenue, whereas Unity charges per user for its Pro and Enterprise plans. But that's all we have time for this week. If you have any thoughts on anything discussed this week, please leave it in the comment section below as always, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.